CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown. I got my co-host at the bottom of the screen. You see him, Mr. Get It Done, a.k.a. D Now. When you see us on the screen, you know the dealio. It's Devy Darlings time. Before we hop into this next cat, my man, how we doing? I was in the championship. You
I
happy?
I I am not so much with you on your comments on Overreaction Monday, but we'll talk about that later. Um, Before we get into this guy, I just want to point out how on the nose you have been with Devy Darlings this year, highlighting some guys last week. So we got Eugene Wilson, 3 receptions, 36 yards. Burden, 6 receptions, 55 yards. Aller finally had a good game, almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. T Mac at Arizona, 11 receptions, 266, a tutty. Fafita, 527 yards, 5 touchdowns. And Concepcion, 7 catches, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, if that doesn't show you what Nino knows, then I don't know what does. So,
it's a group effort. It's a group effort, my
shout
man.
out.
But it's nice that we got off the injury bug there, because in the beginning
Yeah,
it
I
seemed
was
like
worried. I was
every
worried.
guy we talked about came up with an ACL, Achilles, or something. Legman, right? Then it was
Yeah,
Branson Robinson. It was just boom, boom, boom. And now one of the earlier guys who did, Cedric Baxter is starting to get his
yeah.
time. So it looks like we did all right. But there's still a lot of time these guys could fall on their face. So let's not get too flowery and pat ourselves on the back. But right now we're looking good. Um, we're about to talk about a dude that I'm kind of excited about. I just don't know where he's gonna go because I got a funny feeling that he's going from the 2-pack. He might be going to Big Ten or whatever number it's gonna
Big
be
20.
after this. But we'll be talking about Oregon State Beavers tight end Jack Velling. Um, yeah, he might look a little bit similar to the gentleman that was there last year, Luke Musgrave, and they were, they both played together a little bit. We'll get into that, but I don't know, man. We're gonna say it might slightly, under the radar becoming, that tight end. They just seem to be having a guy, last couple of years. I'm not taking away from you. I'm saying that, there's always a team that just comes out of nowhere and has a couple of years where they pop in the tight end department. It seems like this little span is for the Beavers, but let's talk a little bit about Velling. And this is a comment I loved, right? They believed in me from the start. I created a great relationship with coaches. They always treated me right. I love what they're doing in Corvallis. The culture, the football, everything. And I gotta say, I mean, he's kind of hit the atmosphere and everything that's coming out of there in his past, 2 seasons prior to Jonathan Smith leaving. You know what I'm saying? But like everything you hear, Childs, Martinez, all DJ, his dad, Dave, they all say like this atmosphere, what they're doing in Corvallis and what they got going over there is A1. So
Mhm.
the program itself, we'll have to see what happens. But let's talk about Jack. 6'5", 225. That is a big 18-year-old man coming into college. Okay, that's a large. He's not even a man. He's only 18. He's just getting out of his teenage years. It's crazy. 3-star recruit. Went to Seattle prep school. So obviously this kid was sought after. If you go to prep school, they usually prep school pay you to go there. So he
Mhm.
was a dude. Talk to me a little bit more about him.
So yeah, at Seattle Prep, he was a two-sport athlete, basketball and football. He was varsity all 3 years in basketball. He was a letter winner his senior year in football. He was a three-time All-League in football. And his senior season, he was voted captain by his teammates.
6'5", 225. You better be playing ball, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
in your spare time, if you ain't,
yeah.
yeah, that's something. And he's got that frame, right? Just like a, you know, uh, I'm gonna show my age a little bit. Old Tar Heel that remind me of Eric Montross, right? Get him down low with that, get that flat top going, right? My man just
All
box
right.
out and get Gully down low. I mean, he wasn't the biggest point scorer, but you put him in the box, he can bang with the best of them. My man Ray Velling feels, it just seems like his style of play is like that. He don't mind getting dirty, get down there, and then he's smooth. He gets slick, get out there and do his thing. But he was a guy for Seattle Prep, and I it sucks for him. And this like kind of pisses me off, this whole COVID BS stuff where everything's shut down, because a lot of these kids lost a good chance. So like If he had a COVID year, he had that junior season back, maybe he would have got a bunch more offers, right? Maybe he wouldn't have ended up at Oregon State, could have ended up at, say, Ohio or Alabama or something. Just, made himself a bigger name. It doesn't matter because the kid's doing his thing now and everything happens for a reason. But he lost that season. His sophomore year, 2019, 26 receptions, 300 yards, and a touchdown. That ain't a bad year right there, right? Then I said, lost the COVID season. His senior year, which kind of put him on the map for scouts, 37 receptions, 838 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, needless to say, this guy was targeted all over the field, and he was big play McGee. So I love it. This kid, everything on the screen. I didn't see the thing at Devy Darlings. What we're trying to show you is the positives. Every player has a negative, right? But we're going to explain to you the positives of why we think this gentleman could be a Devy Darling, aka a stud in the future. I'm not going to talk about the negatives. There's no need for that. Everybody's got him. He's going to work on those. But what we see now is what makes us think that he's something special. Dino, tell me a little bit what you saw before I break him down a little bit.
Yeah, so first things I saw, he's a natural pass catcher. He's got really soft hands. He makes me think of some of the old school tight ends just with the way he plays catching, blocking. Um, Smooth runner, like some of the bigger guys, they can be kind of like deer in a headlight kind of runners. This guy,
Upright.
you can, yeah, he's just a natural athlete and he's a great outfielder. You just throw it out there, he's going to catch it. Just love that about him.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the intro, there was one of those plays DJU kind of was like just scrambling, jump past it out there, and this dude just high pointed above three defenders, right? Got up there, got it, bowed the ball in, and gained a couple more extra yards. Always falls forward. He's just a big guy. He should like a tree in the woods, right?
Hmm.
Going forward, gonna get you that extra 1 or 2. What I liked about him, you mentioned like the old school tight end, right? Like he's a good blocker. Like, you look at the PFF score, it's probably in the 60s somewhere. Um, but he was kind of like that substitute extra lineman when they needed to because his game, he's smooth. Like he can seal the edge and just like slide off. Boom, get out there, catch that quick dump screen, whatever you need from him, and get your chunk yards. Or he can fake that he's hitting the block, let you just like fake the chip, make you stutter for that half second, get out there, get downfield, eat up big chunks of yards. So like he's versatile in that aspect. In the run game, he's better at the zone block than he is at at the gap. But he's a tight end. All right. Any versatility on the line is an added bonus because nowadays they're looking for that guy who's got hands, can catch the ball downfield. If you look at Kelsey, right, and he doesn't really he does block when he needs to, but that's not his mo, right? You get some guys that they just unfortunately, Gesicki, who couldn't, stop a nosebleed, for my Patriots, he's probably going to be benched very soon. But, guys like that, kind of, you got a job, but you're only a one-trick pony, right? So, like, he can do a little bit of both there, so which I like. He's physical at the line of scrimmage, and like I said, at the point of contact, he can do contested catches. Now, in the run game, my man is not afraid to hit that hole and blow up a linebacker or a safety coming in there thinking that he gonna have that Sports Center highlight tackle. He has no problem sticking his shoulder, his body in there and eating that blow for the running back. And at 6'5", which it's gonna be like kind of like oxymoron. But at 6'5", I feel like this dude kind of hides himself in the line and kind of in motion and like all of a sudden poop, pops up like a jack in the box. I'm here. I don't understand how you do that at 6'5", but I noticed it in multiple games, especially that Arizona game. Like that first drive when they scored a touchdown, the dude was just like first 2 catches, just kind of like, oh, where'd he come from? Boom, got the ball. Now he's going on field. It's just weird how a guy that size just does that. Did you see that as well, or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. Yeah, how some of these offenses can hide such tall players, it's pretty baffling.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. These some of these offensive linemen, 6'6",
Yeah,
6'8", 6'9", 330s. I get
yeah.
that part of it, but still, a guy at 6'5", 225 shouldn't be hidden anywhere. You know what I mean?
All right.
Talk to me a little bit about this time at Oregon in the beginning, and I'll bring it to you what we got this year.
Yeah, so in 22, he played 11 games, only had 16 receptions for 281 yards, uh, roughly 17.6 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. But he was in a competition with Luke Musgraves, who went on to the NFL afterwards, who only had himself 11 receptions, 169 yards, and a touchdown. He made 7 starts, and against Colorado, he had a 60-yard touchdown, which was the longest by a tight end in 20 years.
And like he's he's kind of just checking things off in the box as he's
Yeah.
going along. You know what I mean? All right, Luke's here. He's going to the NFL. Well, I just took this record away. I just, you know what I mean? Oh, you can't stay healthy, my friend. I'll just take you out on the receptions and yardage, department. And he's look, everybody said, "Oh, DJU's washed, right? Was a problem." DJU comes here and seems to have no problem throwing the ball around to Silas Bolden, Jack Velling, and running an offense where he doesn't have to be the main guy, but he's able to find his targets and get them in open space. And Jack was reaping the benefits of that all season. So I like it. Listen, this year, 12 games, 29 receptions, right? 438 yards, 8 touchdowns. So we more than doubled the touchdowns, stayed right around the yards per catch. He's at 15. Last year, he had 17. 200, almost 200 yards more, and he had 13 more receptions. So yeah, in the role where you're the guy taking over, and the fact that DJ was spreading the ball through all of his receivers, every receiver, it was you had Anthony, then you had Bolden, obviously this gentleman here and Velling, but he was spreading the ball around to everybody on that offense, and this guy was still getting his and eating. I love 438 yards. He had 134 yards after catch. And he was targeted downfield. This is the number I like, right? Because most tight ends, if you looked at their A dot, right, and where they're targeted, for the most part, they 5, 6. I mean, unless you're like Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, guys like that. Then you get the A dots in the 9, 10. My man had an A dot of 11.6. So he's a good route runner, can get downfield and work, the middle of the field. Dino, we're talking about work in the middle of the field. Talk to me a little about how he lines up.
Yeah. So what I love about him is his versatility. He lined up 27 snaps out wide, 131 snaps in the slot, and then 144 snaps in line. Being able to line up all 3 positions just makes an offense that much more dangerous.
Right.
But he had a 4 or 5 week stretch where he was just explosive. Started week 7 versus UCLA, 3 receptions, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then the week after against Arizona, 5 receptions, 71 yards, a touchdown. And then week 10 versus Colorado, 3 receptions, 69 yards. And week 11 versus Stanford, 3 receptions, 55. So during those 4 or 5 weeks, I think that's when everyone started learning who Jack Velling is.
Yeah.
How productive he can be in that kind of offense.
It wasn't like, oh, Jack Velling was reaping the benefits of Luke Musgrave being out there. It's, Jack Velling is a legitimate candidate to be a guy, and he could be a guy that comes out next year in his junior season and be like, all right, this class is probably – because if you think about it, the class of tight ends following this one, so the 2025 class – yeah, there's like 1 or 2 names, and they're really not even proven yet. They kind of had flashes, so he's got a chance to be right up there in the that top pecking order for these tight ends in that class. If he were to come out, he'll have the eligibility. But all right, let's get to my favorite part of this, because it seems as though we're doing too much shows together, right? Because our brains are starting to click. Last couple of we've had 1 or 2 guys that was similar or similar style of play. Right. I said to you in the green room, I had my comps, but I could be super chalk, right? And just say I'm gonna say he's a better version of Luke Musgrave. And if Luke Musgrave can have, success early in the NFL, because we all know in the last 25 years, tight ends usually take 2 to 3 years to come into their form. All right. Something in the water in this class where it seems as though we're gonna have 3 to 4 tight ends that have kind of just taken in and formed and performed well. You got Laporta, Kincaid, obviously Musgrave. I mean, shit, Tucker Croft found the end zone, already. And I think multiple times for the Packers as well. So this is an odd year for tight ends, and maybe it just keeps on going. Michael Mayer's starting to come in down the stretch for the Raiders. So maybe it's something different. Maybe we're now looking at a lot of teams are going at 12 personnel with the extra tight end, and these guys are getting more time. So he could be a guy. Austin Hooper just screams to me. The Jack Velling just seems like, Austin Hooper 2.0. Or maybe if you wanted to shrink him down a little bit, it might not be as big. Hunter Henry, okay? Hunter Henry before he came to New England. Hunter Henry when he was with the Chargers. This is you could just stamp Jack Velling right over him, transparent paper, and these two guys would be exactly the same. I think he has that in him. What happens in the future, I don't know if he's going to stay there. I truly don't believe so. But the talent that he has, I think he can go to any P5 school and dominate. Well, what are your thoughts? What are your comps?
Yeah, I mean, I told you in the green room these were my exact same comps. The more I think about it, though, another name that you could maybe kind of throw in there, Kyle Rudolph ish.
Kyle
Also,
Rudolph was just an ox of a human being, though. He's just
yeah,
so big.
I mean, he doesn't have the stature of Rudolph, but the more I think about it, the gameplay um, aspect, I think they're kind of more mirror. Rudolph was a great zone blocker when his time with Minnesota. He was also one of those ones that he could hide in the offense and then bam, he's 30 yards down the field for a touchdown.
Here's a guy, right? I don't like, and people be like, oh, you don't really, he's not that stature, but I don't like putting the stature of this quality of a tight end on him. And no, people don't give him a lot of credit because maybe you don't like the way he commentates or whatever. But Greg Olsen, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Like the way Greg Olsen plays, you want to say about being, good with zone reads in the run game, good with like just being able to pop off for the block and slide up. Greg Olsen did that his whole career, and that was his MO. Ask Cam Newton, right? Like Cam Newton loved Greg Olsen because he knew this guy's going to pick up that outside blitz to me long enough for me to either get the throw off to someone else or to him, right? And he's still only 19, 20 years old. The kid could still be growing. Like he puts another 10 pounds on. Man, I could see Greg Olsen in his game shaping up easily.
Or even, I have to be a homer for a second. A guy who made a healthy career of picking up blitz and then dinking and dunking, Dallas Clark.
Yeah. All right. See, the thing was, Dallas Clark did whatever he needed to do to get on the field because he was surrounded by superior talent in the receiving department, right? Like 1, 2, 3, everyone they had in front of him. But what Dallas did, right? Picked up the block, picked up that blindside block, made sure Payton never got ate up, right? And was elite at chipping, bro. Like he knew how, even if he had to throw his whole body in you to get himself out of the play, he knew how to chip. He was smooth with it. So, yeah, I could see that, but you're putting Dallas Clark. That's another.
It's Dallas Clark, yeah.
Yeah, Greg Olsen, Dallas Clark. Those guys are in that bracket, like Hall of Famers, right outside that. Like, I feel bad to put him in that. Who was the gentleman for Seattle for like 3 or 4 years when Russ first started? Olsen was there, right? But it wasn't Olsen. It was the other. It was right before Noah.
But I know who you're talking about.
Right before Noah Fant got there, they had a guy, and he was just reliable, right? He didn't get like 30, 40 receptions a year. He would get you like, maybe 20, 25. But like when you needed that clutch third down, right? When you needed a guy to come off and just catch that block, this guy did it. And he was in Seattle for a minute with Russ. I can't think of his name, but this is another guy where I think Velling could be that guy. I like the chip game, these guys. I almost start calling him, Chichi Rodriguez out there, the way he chipped it on the green.
All right, so I got to ask before we go.
All right.
Does he follow coach to East Lansing?
I told you in the green room, I think there's going to be 3, 4, maybe even 5 guys that make that route. There's some guys that aren't even making it like secretive. Like if you look at Giles on every kind of social media, he's pretty much telling you, "Put me in your suitcase, coach. I'm coming."
Well, it's like 7 out of the 10 coaches are following him too, right?
I think and well, the biggest one was the O-line, right?
Yeah.
So if you could take that guy, I forget his name. I know it's Sean. That's with an M. I'll mess up the name, but I know his last name starts with an M. If you could take him with you, what he's done in 2 seasons for that prolific O-line, some of them guys are going. Charles is going. Like he's like, I'm already got. I know how they work. They know my cadence, the whole rigmarole. And there's no quarterback in Michigan right now. Everybody hit the portal, which is pretty much John Smith touched down and said, "Pull the Dion."
Yeah,
I got my own luggage, boys. You guys might want to hit the portal, right? Because House didn't do that bad in the last 2 or 3 games. I know he had like 6 starts or 7 starts, but the last 2 or 3, when he finally got his feet wet, he looked okay. And he was a top 20 prospect in this class, I believe, for quarterback.
I believe so, yeah.
So he was out quick step. His feet couldn't, the floor is lava for him, bro. I'm out ski, you know what I mean? I think he leaves. And why would he stay? Like, here's the thing. I'm gonna go with what works. They're giving me the opportunity to go start something different. I only got one, right? I only got one opportunity to do it my way. Any other time, it's got to be for a specific reason. I would go play in the Big 10, go play Big 20, whatever it's gonna be. Like, and you got 2 seasons of it with the coach that knows how to use you. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd be out.
Yeah, I would have to agree. A lot more lights in a bigger conference like that to boost his stock.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like you're putting yourself in a place to be seen more, right? You know what I mean? Like it's just you have to be dumb to think that he's not gonna. I think right now anybody of value for the Beavers is 50-50 in 50-50 out. Like, they just
Yeah,
don't necessarily know, you got to make sure that you're going to a team where you're going to start. Like, am I going there, coach? Am I coming here and being tackle one, tight end one? Like, I'm not coming here and leaving to not be one. If I'm coming here, I want to be one. So
right.
I'm with that. So we'll have to see what happens. But shout out my guy falling in there. He wants to just pay some respects to Oregon State. Yeah, I'm with you. They're still part of the 2-pack, baby. They're still out. They're still out there, struggling. They got a straw at the tip of the water, gasping for air. But they're out there. This has been good. We ran through the last of this docket here. I'm gonna make up a new one. We're gonna talk in the green room and see what we got. Like I said, if you guys got any freshmen that you like and you want us to bring out there and break them down, I'm more than willing to. Throw it in the chat. Hit me up on the DM. Hit Dino up in the DM. Even CFP Nation on the DM if you want to. And we'll break that guy down. Just remember, we hit on guys that people don't know about. Kevin Concepcion wasn't a thought in anybody's mind when we started talking about him.
Now he's out.
And now he's the hottest Devy asset probably going forward. We're going to break down. I know one guy for sure we're going to break down, and he was on fire. Iowa State running back Abu Samua.
Yeah,
And he'll be on the list for next month for sure. But yeah, if you guys got any guys you want us to break down, throw it out there. I'm Nino Brown. That's Mr. Get It Done, a.k.a. Dino. This is Devy Darlings on the CFP Nation. And we gone.